The Case of the Banker's Wife. Act 1. The Dame and the G. The heat in San Francisco that September could have fried an egg on a fire escape. I sat in my office above Turk Street, leaned back with paws on the desk, watching the ceiling fan push the same hot air around in circles. The name on the frosted glass read, Sam Direwolf, Private Detective. Business had been slower than molasses in December since the Maddox case went south and made the local rag. But then she strolled in the late afternoon. Blonde hair victory rolled to perfection, wearing a sultry long red dress that probably cost more than my car. My kind of dame. The kind who would have a mug like me investigated, not the other way around. Her French perfume cut through the stale smell of boredom and yesterday's whiskey.
Mr. Direwolf.
Her voice trembling like she was holding back tears.
I need your help. My husband is missing.
I gestured to the chair across from my desk with a claw, then caught myself, stood up, and used my whole paw. Professional. Have a seat, Mrs.
Harriman. Laura Harriman.
She dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief that had more lace than fabric. Then suddenly the waterworks stopped.
My husband Charles has been missing for 3 days. The police won't help. They dismissed me saying he probably just ran off with a secretary.
Did he?
Charles would never. We've been married 12 years. He's a banker, Mr. Direwolf. Dependable. Comes home every evening at 6:15 sharp.
She opened her purse, pulled out a roll of Benjamins that could choke a filly.
I'll pay you 500 now. Another 500 when you find him.
The money was a little too good, and tears that don't smudge makeup are a little sus. But the Frigidaire had been empty for a week, and more importantly, so was my liquor cabinet. Tell me about the last time you saw him.
Thursday morning. He left for work at First National, same as always. Kissed me goodbye, said he'd be home for dinner. He never arrived at the bank.
I leaned back, rubbing my chin. Anything I should know? Did he bet horses? Owe money? A side squeeze, perhaps?
Absolutely not. At least I hope not.
She crossed her legs, silk stockings whispering.
Although... He'd been nervous lately. Said someone had been tailing him. A man in a brown suit. Charles thought it might be related to some loans he'd turned down at the bank.
I took down the details. Charles Harriman's haunts, his friends, his routine. Mrs. Harriman gave me a photograph. A soft-looking man with thinning hair and wire spectacles. He looked like a banker, the kind who'd never thrown a punch in his life. I'll look into it. I stood up to my full 6.5 feet to show her out. Where can I reach you?
I'll be at home, 2847 Pacific Heights.
She stood up, smoothing down her red dress. I've always been a sucker for a long dress.
Please, Mr. Direwolf.
Call me Sam.
Please, Sam, find my husband, or I don't know what I'll do.
You've come to the right Seamus, Mrs. Harriman. She smiled.
Please call me Laura, Sam.
After she left, I held the bills up, real as rain. But something about Laura Harriman didn't square. And in my line of work, you learn to trust your instincts. Act 2. Following the Trail. I started at First National. The bank was all marble and mahogany, trying to look solid after the crash of '29. The manager, a nervous little ferret named Hutchins, confirmed
Charles hadn't been to work since Thursday. He's never been one to not show and always on time.
good employee. I lit a lucky strike with my claw.
The best. 20 years without a sick day until now.
Hutchins mopped his forehead.
Although,
That word again. Spit it out.
he'd been staying late recently, going through old files, loans from before my time here. I assumed he was just being thorough. I got a list of the files Charles had pulled. All loans, from 1938 to 1940, all to various small businesses, all approved by the previous manager, who died of a heart attack last year. The amounts were small, but they added up.
Interesting. I took some notes. Thank you. My next stop was Murphy's Bar on Powell Street, the kind of joint where bankers went to pretend they weren't bankers. The bartender, a thick-necked Irishman, recognized Charles's photo.
Sure, he's been in. Quiet type. Always sat in the back booth with his newspaper. He polished a glass that didn't need polishing. Haven't seen him since last week though. Tuesday, maybe Wednesday.
Oh yeah? He come alone?
Usually. But last time, there was a dame with him. Brunette. They were arguing about something.
Brunette, you say? Unlike blonde Mrs. Harriman, I thought. Thanks. I made a note. The trail led me through the city's underbelly. A hotel clerk in the Tenderloin had seen Charles check in, but under a different name on Thursday afternoon. Paid cash for 3 nights, but hadn't been back since. He let me take a look. The room was clean except for a matchbook from a nightclub called the Blue Moon and a receipt from a pawn shop on Market Street. This is getting interesting. At the pawn shop, an old wolf named Solomon showed me what Charles had pawned. A gold watch, wedding ring, and a pair of cufflinks.
Man needs traveling money.
Solomon said, adjusting his thick glasses.
Seemed nervous. Kept looking over his shoulder.
Thanks. I left thinking maybe Laura was wrong on all 3 counts. I'm starting to like this banker a lot less. The Blue Moon was exactly what I expected. Dark, smoky, and full of people pretending to be someone else. The coat check girl, a pretty little rabbit, remembered Charles.
He was here Thursday night. Seemed scared of his own shadow. Had a briefcase with him, wouldn't check it. Left around midnight with some tough-looking mug. Brown suit.
The brown-suited thug Laura had mentioned. I was starting to get a picture, and I didn't like what I was seeing.
Act 3. The truth always surfaces.
I went back to my office to jigsaw this puzzle. The pieces were there, but they didn't fit the way they should. Charles was running from something, that much was clear. But why pawn his valuables instead of cleaning out his bank account? Why hide instead of going to the police like a good civilian? The answer walked through my door at midnight. Laura Harriman looked different in black. The grieving widow get-up seemed a bit premature, but I have to admit, she wore it well.
Did you find him?
Something in her voice said she already knew the answer. Sit down, Mrs. Harriman. Or should I say, Miss Kovac. Her face didn't change, but her hand moved toward her purse. I was faster, paw pinning it to the desk. Lydia Kovac. Czech immigrant, arrived 1939. Married Charles Harriman 1940. Except Charles Harriman was already married to the real Laura Harriman, who died in a car accident in 38. You've been living her life for 4 years. She stopped struggling, lit a cigarette with her suddenly steady hands.
You're smarter than you look, detective.
The loans tipped me off. Charles discovered them, didn't he? All those small business loans to companies that never existed. You and the previous bank manager had quite a scheme going. Then he suddenly died and you thought you were clear. But Charles, he smelled a rat and got curious.
Charles was supposed to be naive.
She blew perfectly measured smoke rings through her red lipstick at the ceiling.
A useful idiot with access to the bank's seal and signature plates.
So when he figured your little scheme out, you had him killed. The man in the brown suit. Let me guess, cousin from the old country. She flashed a Slavic grin, cold as a Siberian snow.
Prove it.
I don't have to, see? You blew it. Your Charles isn't dead. He's been hiding at St. Mary's Cathedral since Friday. Father O'Brien is an old friend of mine. Charles spilled everything. The fraud, your real identity, how you tried to have him killed. He got lucky, unlike the real Laura Harriman and your last banker. Your brown suit underestimated him just like you did, and he's got a briefcase full of evidence. I watched her composed face finally crack.
You're lying.
Am I? I picked up the phone, dialed St. Mary's. Father O'Brien? Yes, send him over. The blood drained from her face. She made a break for the door, but I was already there. 300 pounds of Direwolf beats 120 pounds of desperate dame every time. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to confess everything to the cops. The real Laura Harriman's family deserves to know what happened to her. Charles gets his life back. You get a cell in San Quentin.
And if I refuse?
Then the Czech mob finds out you're the reason their loan scheme got exposed. I hear they're not as forgiving as the California justice system.
And what about us, doll? I thought we had a spark.
Oh, sure. I'll be here when you get out, in 20 years. She sat back down, defeated.
I've met some hard-boiled eggs in my time, but you? You're 20 minutes.
We stared each other down until we heard footsteps on the stairs. It was Charles, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 3 days. He saw his wife and stumbled backward.
Hello, Charles.
She stubbed out her cigarette.
I suppose the game's up.
You are crazy.
The cops arrived 20 minutes later. As they led her away, she looked back at me.
Wait for me.
With bells on. Lydia laughed a short, bitter laugh. A she-wolf with a conscience. What is this world coming to? After everyone left, I poured myself 3 fingers of bourbon and leaned back, gazing through my window at the water until the sun came up over the bay. Another case closed, another dame who wasn't what she seemed. In this city, everyone's running from something or toward something, and sometimes they're the same thing. Tomorrow, there'd be another case, another mystery. But tonight, Charles Harriman was alive. A killer was behind bars. The real Laura Harriman can finally rest in peace. In this business, that counts as a happy ending.